All right. Welcome to the Golden Age podcast. I'm here today with our very first guest on this show, my good friend and my own work of art, Roy.
Hello, everyone. My name is Roy.
Alrighty. So, real quick, I invited Roy to be my first guest on the show because we've been friends since about 10 years now. Since high school, we met back in high school. Thanks to our campus ministry class. That was a class that was, let's just say, we had to do a lot of planning for events for school related to like faith and stuff like that. So that's where I really got close to Roy. And then I'd say about almost 2 years ago was when Roy started to take his fitness journey seriously. And with some of my help, right, I got to give him his credit because obviously he had to put in all the work. He's now a completely different man, um, physically and in many different ways as well. And yeah, so I brought him here today because I want him to share about himself. I want him to kind of talk about his journey, um, in fitness, and also what he's doing in life. What his current projects are, where he's going, and yeah, Roy,
Yeah,
welcome to the episode.
thank you. No, I'm honored to be here. Really having to get chance to sync up with you again and catch up because, yeah, I mean, you could say faith did connect us both. And then over the years, we went to the same university. And then even post university, we still stayed close. And I really think that's things happen for a reason. And
Yeah,
that really helped me mentally, physically, and then emotionally too, being able to have someone that I can stick with and be open with and transparent over the years. So.
and I think it's pretty cool, bro. That like you know how many people we actually talked to from high school to now. I think though it does help, being that we went to a smaller private school that we're all more close there. But I know for sure, at least me, there's only a handful of people that I still talk to from high school, and so just having you around, seeing you transform, has been great. And just to kind of get us started, give us a little background of yourself, at least who you are, what you do a little bit, and just I would say like a quick little recap of the last couple of years for you.
Of course, yeah. I mean, I would consider myself pretty active as a kid growing up. I did a lot of like intramural sports, like school sports, and then also during like lunch and breaks, playing soccer, football, all that basketball. But growing up, I definitely was eating a lot. Being in the Filipino, you love eating a lot of the food, Filipino cuisines, and especially with rice. Every food is eaten with rice, and I definitely would consider myself like growing up. I was in a sense in the overweight category, and I definitely indulged myself in a lot of sweets, fast food, and just eating a lot of good food. And I definitely have really let go of myself, especially growing up. I really focused on academics more, and I did do sports a little bit, but I didn't really like prioritize it. I really mainly prioritized my studies, and with that added stress, and with stress that added, just consuming just for the dopamine hit. And I really have to say, like growing up, I would say I ate for the dopamine hit, but also like I enjoyed it. And with growing up, like focusing on high school studies and college studies, I was mainly focusing on just making sure that I grew my brain, I developed my brain, and
I
I
will
took off
say this
information.
guy on one of our award nights, this guy took like 5 awards.
That was a good night. That was a good night. Senior year, I got
Yeah,
like 7, 8 awards, including PE, including
bro.
PE.
My parents were like, "Why didn't you get that many awards?" I'm like, "Because Roy took all the fucking awards."
Yep, I do remember that. That was a good night. And yeah, I mean, it wasn't really until after college and like I started working that I actually opened up my life. Like in life, I really think there's a good balance. There's a triangle. There's the social life, there's the personal life, and then there's the just the general like freedom life. And that's really a balance where that you have to really find a good balance and try to identify what works best for you. And in some cases, you have to prioritize some things over others. And then once you really become like more an adult and you have more responsibilities, it's up to you to really take control of that and balance that.
Sweet. Yeah, bro. I will say something that I admire about you is the fact that at such a young age, you're already making a pretty good amount of money, right? You got your feet pretty well grounded. Um, I remember when I graduated from USD because we went to USD together, and I had like no really plan or anything. I left to boot camp. It was part of my escape, just because I had no offers, nothing. And you actually graduated. You had a job already to do, and so tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta be honest. When junior year of college, that's really when I was trying to look for internships and look for job opportunities, just to get my feet on the door. And I gotta be honest, I got denied like three, four times, and that's really when I was like, oh no, I'm gonna have nothing to do over the internship. I'm not gonna develop myself, and I really came to a point where I'm like, all right, I just gotta go with the flow. And really, that's really the thing. It's like keeping the resilience and persistent on something. You never know what's going to happen, and that's really when it was in the midst of COVID too, where I was
Yeah.
able to get this job opportunity to co-op co-internship at my current company that I've been working for over 5 years now. And that's really where I never expected to go in this type of industry and this type of job role either, but I was just flexible, I was adaptable, and I just kept an open mind. That's really something that's very important, especially post graduation and being fresh in the industry,
Yeah.
being open minded and really being able to adapt, and especially in this scene of technology and overall, I'd say, business in the world, it's adapting. And as a new generation, you have to be able to adapt and take on these new challenges, because that's innovation. That's something that you have to be adaptable to what's coming in the industry.
And I think there's a big misunderstanding, especially for a lot of us young people, that when we go to college and everything, that it's pretty much go to school, get the degree, and you'll have a job. And obviously, for me, that wasn't the reality. Um, you have two good examples here of getting your interviews in, applying to different places, getting an internship like you did. And for me, I had an internship. It wasn't that great, and it didn't really do anything for me. And by the time I tried to graduate, like I had nothing lined up. So and that kind of goes in line with fitness. I would say, like you can't just expect to come to the gym and then get results out of nowhere, right? It's you got to put in the work, you got to eat right, you got to show up to the gym, put in the right amount of effort, and be consistent with it. So I do admire you a lot for that because let's just say when I was in boot camp, I was like, man, what am I doing with my life? You
No.
know?
Yeah, and that's a good point I bring up. I really want to highlight that, as you really have to apply yourself, because in school and in coaching too, like what you're doing, they can teach you everything, but if you don't stand out and you don't do something yourself and stand yourself out from other people, then you're just the average Joe, and then you won't really stand out from people's perspective and companies' perspective, and that's really, I think, like highlight like what colleges are teaching you, like in the curriculums and the education. Those are, everyone gets that. And like what you do too in this training industry is like you give them the tools that they need,
Right.
but it's really up to the student, the client, to really take all those tools, apply it, and use that to themselves. And that requires the self initiative and the self motivation to really drive that. And that was something where I leveraged the skills that my university taught me, the skills, the trainings that you like taught me. I applied that to myself, and that was the tools that I use to build my own house, build my temple. And I really think that's a perspective I have, especially when it comes to the mind, the body. It's a temple. And like the schools, they provide you all the tools. They provide you the library. They provide you the library to basically build up your mind, your intellectual, and that's up to you. Your temple, your own. You're basically your own. You're your own country. You basically take all those tools and educate yourself and build yourself up. And then when you're training business, you're basically like the civil engineers. You're constructing your body, your physical body, and it's basically taking those tools and building up your own temple.
Yeah,
And
I
that's
agree.
really a big
Speaking of
story.
building, you want to tell them a little project you got going on for the future that
Uh,
you're investing in?
Yeah, one thing I'm investing right now, especially with diversity in your portfolio, especially from the finance perspective. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Is really right now I am looking to explore some real estate, and me being a dual citizen, a Philippine and American citizen, I am lingering a little bit in the real estate of the Philippines. So that's something where I'm looking to at least expand, and also I think it's a good opportunity for me to at least get touch with my roots. Being also fully remote in my company and my job, really allows me the flexibility to at least execute projects, but it also doesn't limit me in regards to my environment. And I really think that's something where I've learned over, I'd say the past year, is really education culturally. I'd say there's a lot of ways you can educate yourself, from the books, from the schools, from the soft skills, from tech skills, but then there's also the cultural aspect. And I really think that's something that I've really taken for granted over the years and also growing up, is really I'd say letting loose of my initial culture of the Philippine culture and like general Southeast Asian culture, and visiting a lot of countries this past year. I visited at least, I traveled a lot this past
Yeah,
year,
that's awesome.
and I really have witnessed, the diverse cultures that other countries have compared to where I grew up here in San Diego. And I really think that's something where, especially at a young age where I'm at right now, I'd still consider myself young, is to leverage the opportunity and time that I have now to at least indulge myself and not indulge myself, but expose myself in the different cultures out there. Because that really educates yourself in perspective. And then also, I'd say especially when you do business with other people, and especially in a global business where my company currently works as, is you really need to be familiar and have different perspective so that you can conduct better business
Yeah,
and also relationships with other people.
that's true. Because your company is expanding over to the Philippines and all that, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
we've been a global company, and then we
nice.
also have clients and all over the world, and which really I am very proud of working at my current company, being able to make such a large impact to a lot of people, and also being in the, I'd say, medical industry, being able to make an impact in people's lives, and that's something that I really have taken into, because one of our main slogans really empowering people to take control of their health. And that's something where I'd say this past 2 years, 3 years, I've been really able to at least take on myself and empower, like take control of my own health.
Yeah.
And that's really what I did, was able to really, the skills that you gave me, the education I had over the years, is really take all that and apply it to myself and make a change so that I feel in control of my health.
Yeah. No, yeah. I really think, you've done a great job of putting yourself in a great spot, financially working in a good company, even though they denied my application once, haven't responded to my other one. It's okay. God's got a different
Yeah,
plan for me,
exactly.
right?
Exactly.
But I think that's really cool, bro. And then, you know, I mean, at least you're gonna take me to the Padres game with the tickets that they're giving you. So we'll give the company that. All right, bro. So going back a little bit in time, before you started your fitness journey, right now getting into your fitness journey, just so you guys understand like how much we know each other and how good friends we are. Like we actually went on a trip to Europe together.
Yeah,
Remember that?
that
That
was a
was
good time.
our
That was a
first
good time.
2 weeks together.
Uh-huh.
And
He has some trauma. He has
yeah,
some
yeah,
trauma.
I definitely had some trauma. I mean, first week everything was cool. What was it like halfway through the last week? We got on each other's nerve a little bit.
Oh yeah.
But I mean that happens with the people that you love. It's I think it's normal. Um, but I remember, bro, that in that trip, like, just looking at you as a person, you've always been someone that's very welcoming, that everyone likes to have around. You've always had like a contagious smile, laughing about everything, and I think that was maybe one of the last few times that I really remember you just being a bit overweight still, but still being someone that's great to be around. And a year later, when we got to my graduation from my master's program, um, that's kind of where things kind of start kicking off for you, in terms of really changing yourself a little bit physically and like, working on your confidence and really becoming the person that you are today. So if you want to just share with us, kind of what was that sparked your interest in finally doing something for you. Not just obviously you were set up already with the job, and you're a good person already. I know you practice your faith as much as you can and everything. And so now just, you're missing that physical part. So what kind of was what motivated you to start doing that?
Oh yeah, no, that's a great point, and I really want to give a shout out to one of my elementary friends, Sean. He's actually the one who inspired me. Right after your graduation for your masters, we had a kickback at my place, and I saw last time I saw him, he was pretty big. He was bigger than me too, and when I saw him, he was light, and I actually haven't seen him for a good 2 years at that point too. So that's actually really what kicked me off, and seeing him being able to change, that actually inspired me, and I gotta give you a shout out to you, Sean.
Thank
He's
you, Sean.
really he's really one of my big inspiration to also be able to see that change is possible, and that made me realize that, yo, I need to make an impact, and that's something where I realized also, like, especially in the workplace, one big thing working in a corporate company is really seeing how to make a change in the world, and I've learned to realize, like, in order to be able to make a change in the world, first, try to make a change in yourself first. See if you can do that, and that's really something that I stick into, and that's where I did the slow increments of make one difference a day. How can I be better than I was yesterday? That's really what I'd say helped me start my cycle and
Yeah.
start the rhythm in my lifestyle.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people they want to go full blast right away, doing cardio every day, running for like 40 minutes every day, lifting weights, and they really want to go like super hard and then they burn out.
Yeah, it
So
doesn't last. It
I'm
doesn't.
I'm really happy that, even though like we had a combination of like you training here in person and also training at home, so it's kind of like not everything was here in person, some of it was like online, but like the fact that you were able to just kind of stick to the plan. And at one point I didn't even have to like be watching over you because it's like I already knew you were doing what you had to do. um, but before we even get into that, like what would you say were like some of the biggest challenges you had at the beginning when you first started?
I say beginning was definitely just mentally clicking that in my head, just do something active rather than watch 2 hours of YouTube or watching binge watch a bunch of movies or play video games. I'm like, "Oh, you know what? Let me go outside. Let me go for a walk. Let me, do some lifts, some weights. Just going out for a walk. I really think is that just is a big difference, especially being in the sedentary lifestyle that I was prior. I mean, I work from home. I'm always behind a computer screen. I don't really do anything physical, especially in my job role. And that was something that I'd say really contributed to me really gaining weight.
Yeah.
And I'd say just overeating is really just the stress and then just not doing much active stuff on a day-to-day basis. And I learned myself is really creating that balance in life, that triangle that I told you,
Yeah.
from the things that you need to do in your life to also focus on your personal life because work will always be there. I mean, you working an extra hour or two at work because I don't work hourly. I basically work on a project based timeline. It's really that 1 hour that you're working that day. You can save that for another day.
Right.
It's not. It's deadlines are not due yet. And taking that 1 hour and instead of I'd say watching a YouTube video, watching 3 YouTube videos, go out for a walk and maybe you can listen to music or
Yeah.
watch that video that you want,
As
but
you're walking.
just doing something active. And that's really what I took slowly. In the first month or so, that's when I lost at least 10 pounds already. And
Yeah.
that really impressed me. I'm
That
like,
was
wow.
crazy.
And obviously I had a lot of I had it was much more easier in the beginning
Right.
because I was a little more bigger. But really just taking the slow increments and don't really expect change in the first 3 4 months. Really, that those first 3 4 months. That's where your body's gonna be testing mentally
Yeah.
to see, hey, can you actually keep this up, or is this just a one-time thing? And that's really something that mentally you need to know that it's not a one-time thing. This is something that you need to make changes in your lifestyle for your better health. And I really feel that that actually impacted me emotionally, mentally, and again, totally physically.
Yeah. And I can definitely relate with you, bro, especially on like, for me, if when I get stressed out or I'm overwhelmed, I definitely like to snack. That was always something for me that kind of would make me plateau, make me get stuck a little bit. Let's just say sometimes, like, if I was trying to drop down to a certain weight, I could not get past a certain weight because stress from work, stress from
Mhm.
life. And stress is actually like a really big killer when it comes to your fitness goals. So, uh, and you could probably agree with me that stress is not going to go away,
Oh, no.
right? Stress is not going to go away as much as we want life to be stress free. Like things are going to happen. There's always going to be stuff that gets in the way. You know, the plan's not always going to be perfect, but I would say, and probably you can agree with me that as long as you're always trying to get back in here, right? Or if you have one day where like you don't eat that great, like the next day, just pick it back up. It's more about being consistent, playing the long game rather than it is trying to do everything from the beginning. And of course, like you say, when you were heavier, you saw a lot more weight loss a lot faster, right?
Mhm.
And I feel like a lot of people can maybe relate to this in the sense of like they feel pretty heavy, they lose weight sometimes pretty quick, and then they kind of get stuck. So what would you say that you find yourself in the point where you were kind of stuck? And tell us also like what was your starting weight when you actually started working out and taking care of your health?
Yeah. So the most I weighed, and that was right. I'd say a month or two before I really started this lifestyle changes. I was 240 pounds. Yeah, I was pretty big. And right now, my weight is 170. So I've lost roughly over 70
Okay.
pounds, 30 kilograms, and you know, I really didn't imagine me at this point. And when I first started, I didn't expect. I didn't set this goal here. I just told myself, like I told you earlier, just be better than you were yesterday. Do something active. And like looking into weights, yeah, you can do that. But you're gonna fluctuate. You're gonna
Right.
fluctuate regardless. Whether it's water weight, whether it's something you eat and your body just hasn't broken down yet, you're gonna fluctuate. But just being able to mentally click in your head saying, hey, can I be better than I was yesterday? If yesterday I didn't do anything, let me do something. Let me go for a walk. Let me go to the gym and just having that mentality to really just be a better version of yourself than you were yesterday. Compare yourself to you yesterday. Don't compare yourself to where you were a month ago, a year ago. Compare yourself yesterday. The baby steps really helps you mentally
Yeah.
and helps you achieve those small milestones. It's much more graspable compared to saying, "Oh, I need to be lower than this weight because last week I was at this weight, so this week I need to be lower." No, that's not going to work, and you're going to fluctuate. I mean, I traveled all of last year too, and I didn't I mean, I gained weight up and down, but overall, if just like the stock market, if you look at the whole full
Right.
year trend, there's still an increase, even though we had a recession back in '08 and there was multiple crashes and COVID as well. Overall, we still were better than we were like 10 years ago. So
Yeah.
that's really the mentality that you have to stick with. And then talking about stress too earlier that you brought up, yes, stress, you'll always have stress. And it exists in different variations. Back in school, elementary, high school, all that, tests. All you have to study for this test. You have to do the homework. That's what kids have stress. And like, even though, we look back then, kids had it easy, like it was much more easier, less responsibilities. There was still that aspect of stress. Oh, no, I got to do homework. I got to study for this test. And now when you start working, now you have to be stressed for deadlines. You have to be stressed to do this work. You could also have jobs that you aren't really stressful, and yeah, that's totally fine. But then you also then once you become an adult, you take on more responsibilities, or you have to be stressed on you have to attend this activity, or you have to pay your bills. Like stress will always exist, and then even when you get older or you're more financially stable, there's still external stresses that exist in different variations. Stress as in people getting older. You know,
Yeah.
people you know people getting sick, you lose loved ones, like those stress still exist. And that's not like what's great about stress is stress helps you point out what's good in life. That's really a good perspective to think about
I
is
never thought about that.
yeah, and that's really I'd say that's what keeps me happy in
Yeah.
a sense, and that keeps me motivated because without stress you won't know what happy is. You don't know what a uh, better scenario is like. So I'd say stress is a good baseline to help there's always something better out there, and that helps you improve yourself every day.
Awesome, man. And now, still talking about fitness here. What would you say is like the biggest stuff that you noticed that changed for you physically, right? Stuff that you really like that changed physically, maybe stuff that you didn't like too much. Um, you know, kind of share with us, uh, you know, how would I say this? How you were before, right? And like the now, like how you feel now,
Mhm.
both what you see and how you feel internally.
Yeah, most definitely. I'd say one of the biggest things in the early beginnings was I definitely felt more energetic. I felt more happy to do something active. But then also, I'd say waking up in the morning and say, today's a good day. Like that's something that actually was a big change in the beginning that I actually noticed more than like me looking like muscle or losing weight. That was something that I really didn't focus in the first 3 4 months. What I really noticed was. I feel much more energetic. I feel more active, and there's this aspect of confidence in that, being able to really feel happy. And I'd say that actually contributed to more happiness. I mean, like you mentioned, I was happy even when I was overweight.
Yeah.
But there are still moments where I was in sad in a dark place a little bit. But losing the weight helped me be more mentally active in the day to attack the day in a more powerful way.
That's good, man. Now, when you were, doing your process of losing weight, and this is something I really want to highlight because I think a lot of people misunderstand this. You know, tell us a little bit of what you were doing because I could tell people as much as I want. You got to lift weights, not just do cardio, but give us a little bit of an idea of what it was that you were doing for your workouts, for your daily routine.
Yeah, I'll break it down from the active stuff and then also like the food stuff because that's a big perspective. That's a big aspect in regards to losing weight. In regards to the active stuff, it's really just going and do something. And like you provided me with the tools, like I mentioned earlier, the different exercises, the different trainings, and also like the different your program that you really provide is really to help target these different exercises, but then also making sure that hold accountability and really I just took that and just like follow it in a sense in the very beginning obviously you're not going to you're going to be sore, you're easily going to be sore, and you're not going to probably finish a program and or do the full complete thing, but really just taking those tools that you provide over and just do something with it and that's where I really say the importance of be better than yourself yesterday.
Yeah.
If you only did, let's say, 50% of the exercise that you gave on yesterday, today do 60%, 70%. If you said to do this amount of reps, try to increase that reps the next day. Or if you weren't able to complete the full set, try to do one more than you were yesterday. And that's really how I really took your program and took the advice, the coaching that you gave, is really just apply it and like expect to not immediately hit it, and don't force yourself to hit it
Yeah.
because that will obviously put you down and you're like, oh, I gotta give up, I should just give up. No, no, don't give up. It's really take the tools that he gives and the motivation that he has that you provide for your program, for your clients, and just take that, because again there is an aspect of the self initiative. You really have to take that on your own and take that information and use that for yourself and apply it, because like again, you're not me, and I need to know that you don't know what my life goes through on a single basis. I can
Right.
explain it all, but what you know to do is at least provide me the tools to help me succeed. Rather than giving me water, you don't bring a horse to the water. You don't give water to the horse. You guide the horse to the
To the
water,
water.
so that they know where to always get water to stay hydrated. And that's basically what a coach really does, is really giving me the tools, and that's really what I did. I took the program. I took the exercises, the reps, the sets that you provide over, and say, okay, this is what I need to do. And if I can't do it today, I gotta be better tomorrow. And that's really how I took it when I first started.
And I will say that that's huge for us as trainers, is just for the client to like trust that what we give you guys in the program is what you guys need to do in order to achieve your goal, right? Like it's very hard when you're trying to tell a client, you know, work out 4 times a week, do your cardio 3 times a week, right? Whatever it is, and all they want to do is cardio, or all they want to do is just like maybe go lift weights, but like not even push themselves at the gym, or not even do what you want them to do. Um, and it's a little frustrating too, especially when it comes to eating as well. I know you were doing really good at that. We had, in our group chat for the guys, for a while, like you were really helping me a lot with, posting what we were eating, showing, that we're staying on track with our food, right? And to help motivate the other people in the group, right, to do the same, because I know that's really hard, especially if like, you're at home, you're eating whatever mom, dad cooks, or the wife or whoever it is that you live with, and if you're not even home, but you're always eating outside, it also gets hard to make the right decisions. And so just, having you in that group has really helped a lot too. And I think the nice part too about you trusting, what I gave to you is that, a lot of people, all they want to do is cardio, and what they have is a lot of like loose skin left, right? And like, I mean, I'm pretty sure you guys can see from here, but Roy's nice and toned, right? Like, we understand when you get really big, you're gonna have stretch marks and
Mhm.
stuff like that. But there's not really any loose skin, that you would say is like, oh, man, like I got this excessive loose skin, it looks really bad. Like, bro, you've really transformed your body. It's amazing. You guys should look at his pictures on this Instagram of his trip to Malaysia, uh, with the elephants, and at the what was it, waterfall, or where were you at? A
Waterfall in
waterfall
Bali,
in
yeah,
Bali. There you
Indonesia.
go.
Yeah,
Indonesia. Sorry,
yeah.
it all seems the same to me over there.
In
But
Southeast Asia.
there you go.
Yeah.
And so just to kind of wrap things up, so I just kind of let us know, what's your plan from here going on, now that you obviously have been a big change. So what do you want to do now?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is really take advantage of where I put myself now, what I built myself, and enjoy life, especially while young, and not having any, I'd say, big stresses. I mean, I don't have a kid yet, so I don't have anything to worry about in regards to making sure childcare, bringing school, and but also one thing I'd say I'm really focusing on the next year or so. I really think it's really building relationships, and whether it's with your family, with your friends, with intimate relationships. I really think that's where I'm at now in life, where I really want to strengthen that. And another one is faith, relationship with your faith. That's really what I want to focus on. I'd say the next and culture. All right, let me restart with that. I mean, really, what I'm really focusing on the next year. So it's really strengthening my relationship with different factors. One, family, friends, culture, faith, and I'd say intimate even relationships. Really think that's where I really want to focus in next year or so, is really building that up, because I'd say before, like during college and before that, I was really focusing on intellectual,
Yeah.
and that was really build my brain up, take all these informations and try to really see where I want in my initial career, my early career. And I started working, and obviously that's when you start focusing on your finances, trying to really get in the big boy job in the corporate life, and try to make money so that you build yourself up, make money work for you. And then recently, I'd say I was focusing on mental and
Hmm.
physical health,
Right.
and then that's really when help you supported me, you helped transformation that I have physically, and then also last year, I think I was really focusing on really exploring the world. I traveled a lot last year, and also that really inspired me. And I'd say the past 3 years, I really traveled a lot, and that's really helped me explore myself culturally. So now I'm really focusing on the relationship aspect, strengthening my relationship with my family members, with my friends, and really find that group that I can call when I need something, who I can depend on. And I know you're one of those, and that's definitely something where
You can call
I'm
me when you're in the Philippines. I'll just tell you
there are different time
that.
zones, but that's something that I really want to focus
Yeah.
on. But then also taking risk. That's really where I want to do now, and because I'd say I'm pretty comfortable here
Yeah.
in San Diego. I have family, I have friends here. My work is here. A good, well-paying job and career. But I really want to challenge myself, and when I visited Southeast Asia, that really opened a perspective in me, and seeing a lot of people happy there, and knowing, and me also knowing that they don't make much money there, especially in Southeast Asia. It's they're mainly developing countries. There are portions in the countries that are very well developed, very booming industries, but then overall from there, they are also developing, and that really opened up a perspective in my eyes, saying, looking at all these people, and they're so happy, and knowing that they don't make much money, they don't make like the amount of money that people here are making in the states, and that really opened perspective to me, like seeing them so happy. That's something that that's a perspective I want to really learn from, being able to be happy without materialistic things, and just living life simple. And that obviously there's some things in life that I want in regards to being able to travel and having that capability of finance,
Yeah.
but just seeing, being happy with the little things, with the small things, and identify what makes me happy in life. Because I'd say when I was working in the beginning, having good money, being able to buy things, shop, travel, and eat at different places, that really that made me happy. But I realized those are all very temporary happiness
Yeah.
and dopamine hits. And I'd say I really want to see what other happiness exists in the world. And I'd say that's what I'm really looking forward to in the next year or so.
Good. And I'm happy you mentioned that because even though my question was actually like, what was your like fitness goals
Ah,
going forward? But I like that you mentioned that because the reason that I picked the name for this podcast and I named it the Golden Age Podcast is because I truly believe that in our 20s, this is like our golden age to really figure out what it is that we want to do for our life, what it is that makes us happy, and kind of finding our place in this world, building up our base, and I think it's a really, really, really important time for us to like just get right, physically, mentally, and financially, right? Especially if we want to be happier in the future, we got to make sure that right now that we're young, that we have all the energy, have all the drive to do things, that we actually go out and accomplish them. Um, and so I'm happy you mentioned that, and that's the great thing about these conversations is that not everything is, there's no script here or anything. It's really what's on your mind. And so I'm just gonna ask you a couple like two quick questions, and just to go back to your physical goals. Well, first, right now, do you eat stuff that you enjoy?
Oh yeah,
Of
I
course, right?
definitely enjoy it, and
Right.
being able to eat something. I love donuts too and sweet stuff, but being able to enjoy that and that's actually a big perspective that I changed in the very beginning, especially eating a lot of these. I'd say I consider somewhat unhealthy, but very high calorie foods. Is I told myself save those for moments when you're with loved ones, with your friends, with your family, or with your dates. If you're by yourself, try to eat something healthier. And that's really helped me mentally take
Yeah.
on and enjoy hanging out with more people because that was an opportunity for me to not necessarily indulge myself, but be able to eat something where like, oh wow, I haven't ate this in a while, or a sweet dessert. I typically save that when I'm with friends, and since I'm with you, I'm able to indulge it, and I don't feel guilty. That's one of the biggest things I changed, and that allowed me to enjoy being around more people that help build me up and that also help me become a better person,
Yeah.
and also being able to lose weight. And again, like I mentioned earlier, food is a big portion in regards to this, and I enjoy eating food. I enjoy also cooking a lot of food, but being able to slowly change from overeating, from overindulging yourself,
Yeah.
to being able to portion yourself, to control that. And you can still enjoy a lot of the good foods. And
Yeah.
even if you want junk food, you go for it. But being able to, rather than get a large side of fries, start off with small side of fries.
Yeah.
Instead of getting, I'd say, the shake, try to go for a lemonade or go for a sweet tea. Making those small movements in the beginning will definitely help create a snowball effect in your overall health and your eating lifestyle,
Definitely.
because it doesn't, you're not immediately dropping all these good foods, you're not immediately jumping to broccoli, chicken, and rice. No, don't do that. That won't last long. It's not good. Go slowly. If you like eating pasta a lot, create a big batch of pasta, and try dividing that into your week's meals. If you like steak, yeah, go for steak. Try to go for the leaner cut. Obviously, you're more expensive, so try to find a good balance. And if you like eating out a lot, save those go eating out a lot moments when you're with friends. I
Yeah.
mean, I doubt you're with your friends every single day, and if you can mentally control yourself to save eating out or going through the drive-through when you're with your friends, then that means going from every day getting Starbucks or getting McDonald's or whatever junk food you like to indulge yourself. Save those for when you're with your friend, when you're driving, or when you're just hanging out on a weekend night. You're basically that will slowly help you change your eating habits
Yeah.
into something more controllable and something that you can at least know what you're eating, because a lot of the fast food and junk foods out there, there's a lot of things inside them and you really don't know what's inside them, and that's really that made me realize I enjoy cooking because I know what's going in it. I know
Yeah.
how it's being prepared, and uh, I would consider myself a good cook. So that's why I enjoy
I don't know, bro. I think some of those meals, they don't look too appetizing sometimes.
that.
And then really quick, I know we just started this month our challenge for who in our men's group who's gonna lose the most weight. Do you have a goal in mind to what weight you want to make it to?
I'd say with this one, the lowest weight that I actually recorded during this lifestyle change was 169. That was the lowest weight, and that was back in February of 24.
Hmm.
And honestly, that point, I didn't feel as muscular. I didn't feel as
Okay.
toned. I'd say that was the lowest point in my weight journey and weight loss, and that's when I realized I want to start at least gaining a little more toner
Yeah.
and building muscle. And because I definitely feel weak when I was at that weight, I definitely felt weaker, and I definitely didn't feel as toned as I am now. And me being 1 year later and just being, I'd say, 4, 5 pounds heavier than I was at the lowest point, but feeling much more energetic, much more, I'd say, muscular.
Yeah.
I definitely say I'm in a good spot, and I'd say if I could go below 170 for your challenge, I would consider that a good win. But really, being in the past year in the same weight area and just feeling more improvement in my overall strength training,
Yeah.
I definitely would consider that a good win for this past year.
That's good, bro. So I mean, at least to me, that sounds like you're gonna be here at the gym a lot more often. So but yeah, just to kind of wrap things up, I just want to thank you for coming on here, for sharing with us, your experience and the struggles that you had, and it just, bro, like seeing the changes that you've made since we've known each other since high school, like, I still picture in my mind that picture of us in Greece on the little,
Scooter,
on the,
yeah,
what was it, the
ATV,
ATV, yeah,
yeah.
and completely different guy. So it's that's one of the blessings of having this type of business, this type of job, is just the people that you can help and like seeing the way that they transform their lives. So I just want to thank you,
Sure. No, and
and
thank you for letting me be a guest, the first guest in your podcast, and
yeah,
honestly, being able to talk about this and share just not necessarily vent, but being able to share my experiences really makes me look back and be proud because that's something that me personally, I wouldn't say like too like I'm not gonna show off what I did the past year or so, but being able to share it and experience it allows me to be more happier. I'm like, wow, I
yeah,
did make a change because seeing myself every single day, looking in the mirror, you don't really notice a change. But being able to talk about this and share with someone like you about my experience in just the past couple of years, I think made me wow. I was able to do some significant work and make some change. And I think in the very beginning, that's not something that I was focused. I wasn't focusing on the end goal. I was just focusing on being a better version than I was yesterday.
yesterday, yeah, yeah, bro. I mean, I really hope people can take everything that you said today, and if they can relate to it, it will motivate them, encourage them to actually take that step forward, or if they fell from their routine, from going to the gym, or if they're not eating well anymore, to kind of get back on it. And yeah, that's the goal with this podcast, to bring people on here to share their experiences, whether it's fitness or business, or anything. It could be faith too, just for us to kind of share with each other what we're doing in life, and the struggles that we've had and how we're improving them. So thank you for everyone who's watching, and we'll see you on the next episode. That's to be determined because I don't know what the fuck it's gonna be about. But yeah, bro, thank you for
All
being
right.
on here.
Thank you, bro.
You're like a brother to me,
Of course.
and thank you to the audience who stayed here and listened. And if you stayed to this point and you listened to everything, okay, and you really want to come and work with me, either it's online or in person here at the gym, okay, like reach out to me. It could be Instagram, it could be Facebook, wherever you want. Just reach out to me and just DM me the word Roy, because this obviously it's Roy's episode, the first episode. And if you guys do that, I will actually hook you guys up. For your first month, it'll be 50% off. Okay. So you guys can really dial in. I don't want money to be an issue for you guys to start. And once you see how this is actually going to help you, like I promise, if you follow the plan that we have for you in 1 month, you will see how you are progressing, and that's going to motivate you to want to continue. So thank you to all the listeners. Thank you to Roy once again, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.